Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. Hopefully we're all ready for another In the Know webinar. Lovely Thursday, almost afternoon for us. Yeah, it's 11. I forgot what time it was. Thanks again for spending 60 minutes with me today. We are now live. I can get my screen to move. We are now live. If you're having issues with hearing, please make sure your speakers are unmuted or chat in and let us know if you're having some technical difficulties. Throughout the slides, we will have a slide deck, www.intuit.me/ITK handout-AUG23 if you would like to follow along with our PDF version of today's slides. I'm your hostess today, Leah Hartman, and I'm your principal professional services consultant here under the account and sales team. Been with the company for a long time, excited to be here and show you guys what we got new. So let's get rolling and moving on. All right, so I got a couple housekeeping items I want to discuss before we move into the presentation. So first things first, navigating the Zoom webinar platform, access to Q&A should be down at the bottom as well as the handouts through the control panel. And once again, if you would like to follow along with the handout, you can go to www.intuit.me/ITK handout-AUG23. As always, we're going to start off with our welcome. Hopefully you've all been welcomed. CPE credit eligibility information, we will talk about that next. We'll talk about the learning objectives. We'll work with our presenters on today's topics. And then we'll close out, as always, with your accountant resources and give the webinar a close. Once again, it is only 60 minutes for today. If you have questions and or feedback, please use the Q&A section of the Zoom, not chat. Chat should be disabled. We ask that you only submit questions related to the content feature today. We've got a lot of you and just a few of us. So if you have any actual technical questions regarding the product, it's not working the way that it's supposed to, it's not working as designed, I'm getting an error, please contact our actual tech support. That's 888-333-3451. We will not be able to address anything outside of the content that we're presenting today in the webinar. Again, if you're having questions outside of today's content, please contact our support. It's on slide 6, 888-333-3451. Awesome. CPE. So if you've been here before, you guys know the drill. In order to receive the CPE credit in each training session, you must be present for a minimum of 50 minutes to earn 1 CPE credit. Please be sure to answer all polling questions. Even if you get an answer wrong, if it is a, guess the correct answer, make sure you answer it. You'll still get the CPE. If all or part of the requirements are met, your CPE will be emailed within 2 weeks following the close of today's webinar, and it'll go to the email address that you registered to the webinar with. So make sure that you add accountant_training@intuit.com to your approved contacts, as that is where your CPE certificate will come from. So if I went through that too fast, that is on slide 7. So if you have more questions on CPE and how that works, that's going to be on slide 7. All right, we've got 3 presenters that I'm going to walk you guys through today. First thing we're going to do is learn all about our latest update in consolidating the QuickBooks Online left navigation menu. We all are very familiar with the left-hand navigation bar. We'll be excited to hear about that. Find out more about how to gain access to the IRS transcript from within ProConnect Tax. That should be interesting, as well as discover about flexible account mapping in QuickBooks Online Payroll. Once again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, please throw those in the Q&A. We will answer those questions as quickly as we possibly can. We may not get to all of them, but we'll do our very best. Finally, if you would like to follow along in the handout, please go to www.intuit.me/ITK handout-AUG23. All right, so we're going to start with our first presenter, consolidating the QBO left navigation menus, and I believe that's my good friend Tim. Tim, are you there?
That's me.
Hi, the floor is yours, my friend.
All righty. Don't mind me while I just take over the screen. Cool. All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. It's an honor to be here. Let me clear my throat. It's an honor to be here speaking to our accountant community. My name is Tim Huang, and I'm a product manager representing the QuickBooks Online ecosystem team. Today, I'm here to share some changes that are coming to the left navigation menu in QBO. So to kick things off, we have a quick poll for the audience. How many bookmarks have you created in the QuickBooks Online menu? And I know some of you may be accessing different accounts all the time. So for the purpose of this question, let's just say for one account for one company.
So that's how many bookmarks have you created in QBO menu? I'm going to be honest, Tim. I do a lot of demos. I haven't created any. Don't come at me. I'm going to be in the zero box. I'm going to be honest.
I'm looking forward to seeing the results.
Expectations wise, what are you thinking? What are you thinking people actually do?
You know, if I had to guess, most people are hovering between 1 and 2. Maybe a lot of people haven't created any or don't know about them yet. So that's what I'm expecting. There you go.
Awesome. Yeah. So it looks like we're kind of on the right track. It looks like I'm in the majority with everybody else. So hopefully we've got some great to share with us, Tim.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with us. It looks like many of you haven't created any bookmarks at all, or might not have known that you can create bookmarks. So we'll come back to talk about that a little bit later. Before that, let's just get into the heart of the update today. So many of you will remember that about a year and a half back, we rolled out a menu for the QuickBooks Online business view. The new menu was designed to be easier for your clients to use, to understand, because it was built using the language of business. However, over the past year, we found that a lot of our accountants and experts find it really difficult and frustrating to collaborate with clients using the business view menu. The different interface, the different language, different menu groupings just makes it really confusing to figure out where you should go to find something that should be really simple. We've also gotten a lot of feedback that the menu looks cluttered and some of the labels are confusing. After hearing all this feedback, we made the decision that soon all customers will see the same menu, with the same interface, same groupings, and same labels. The updated menu is going to be based on the accountant view menu. So it's going to look and feel very similar to what most of you are familiar with today. We've also released customization and bookmarks, which I know some of you haven't used yet, to all users so that you can shape the menu to best fit your workflow. Now, we know that changes to the navigation menu can be very impactful to the way you use QuickBooks Online. So this change is going to be rolled out in 2 phases. Phase 1 is going to be an opt-in period where you will have the chance to try out the new menu and explore its features at your own pace. During this first phase, you'll have the option to switch back to your old menu. This opt-in period is going to last for around 30 days before we roll out the new menu to all users in late September. After these changes are rolled out, you'll still be able to switch back and forth between accountant view and business view in the settings, but the menus will look the same. And I'm sure this is going to be a kind of a confusing point, so we're happy to come back to this during the Q&A. You can learn more about these changes by visiting the links on the bottom right, which includes a help article as well as a Firm of the Future blog post, which we sent out a few days ago. This change is going to go out to all customers across all regions. So I think the moral of the story here is everyone is going to start seeing the same menu in QBO. Now, I have a couple of images to share that show what changes you can expect. So this is what we have. This is a quick overview of what the menu looks like in QBO today. You'll see on the left, we have the business view menu, which is a lot shorter. It uses icons. We have phrases like get paid and pay that were meant to make things a little bit simpler for our business owners. On the right, we have the accountant view menu, which most of you are familiar with. It uses our standing accounting terminology, including things like sales, expenses, we also have our mileage in the menu here still. But going forward, we're going to have the same menu across both business view and accountant view, which you can see on the right here. Now, I want to call out that we will be keeping this hover and flyout interaction pattern in accountant view, which means as you hover over each of the main menu items, you'll be able to see a flyout menu on the right that shows what's under that menu. And when we did usability studies observing customers using our menu, we just found this to just work. It was a lot easier for users to scan through the menu and find what they were looking for, compared to the business view menu, where you have to click and expand the menu to see what's under it. We've also made the decision to move bookmarks to the top of the menu. We heard a lot of feedback from those of you who did use the menu that having bookmarks at the bottom doesn't make them very useful. The point of bookmarks is to make things easy to access so that you can visit your most frequently used pages quickly and easily. But if it's at the bottom of the menu and you have to scroll down each time, then that just doesn't make sense. So we've moved them to the top of the menu. We've also added the ability to collapse and expand menu sections. So for example, if you have a bookmark menu that's getting a little bit long and you want to see the main menu again, feel free to just go ahead, collapse the bookmarks menu, and you'll see your main menu at a glance. And finally, this is specific to the opt-in period, but soon, coming in late August, you're going to start seeing this message pop up at the top of the menu saying that you can try out your new menu. That Find Out More button will take you to the help article linked in this webinar. And if you click on Check It Out, that's going to opt you in to seeing the new menu. If you aren't ready to opt in and check out the menu just yet, don't worry, feel free to dismiss that message. You can go into the menu settings, and then at any time during the opt-in period, you'll be able to switch back and forth from the new menu. Cool. All right. So once again, we understand that changes to the navigation menu can be very impactful to the way that you run your business and you work with your clients. So we're happy to open the floor up to Q&A and take any questions now.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate this. I'm telling you, looking at the Q&A, we got a lot of people who are super excited and happy about this. And we also have some questions that hopefully we can kind of address and get some things cleared up here. So, and this is actually a question that I have as well. So if we're going to be kind of making both business view and account view the same, what is the difference to having two different views now?
Yes, so there are still a few differences in the actual pages themselves, depending on if you are during what we call the Get to Know Me flow, which is the onboarding flow. If you specified you're a small business owner or that you work at a small business, we may still display a few differences within the pages that are personalized to small business owners. But the left navigation menu itself is going to be the same across the two views.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. The age-old question, is this available is this change going to go out to all users in all regions, or is this only available for certain people?
Yes, so this will be going out to all users, all regions. So everyone will be seeing this change shortly.
Awesome. I'm excited for that. It looks clean. I'm excited that the bookmark is at the top now, because I honestly had no idea it existed until the other day. I'm not gonna lie.
There you go.
Yeah, I know it happens, right? That's what testing's for. So I've got some folks kind of asking, so they've utilized the bookmarks already, and they're wondering why there are some things that aren't available to be bookmarked at this time. Is that going to happen in the future, or what are your thoughts around that?
Yes, our goal is to make sure that every page that you access, that our users frequently need to use, will be bookmarkable in the future.
Awesome. And I'm assuming no timeline on that.
We're working on it.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate the transparency. We're working on it. Okay, well, there was another question I had. Hang on one second. Oh yeah, okay. So I create a bookmark. Let's say, Tim, you and I are logged into the same QuickBooks Online company. I create a bookmark. Are you going to see that same bookmark, or will it be different per user?
If you are logging into your client's account, the bookmarks that your client creates and you create, that will be shared for that company. So it's going to be based on the company, not the user.
Okay, so if you have like 2 people creating bookmarks for a company, it will be the same for everybody?
It'll be the same for everybody in that company.
In that company? Okay, awesome. I'm glad that I clarified, because I would have assumed it was user specific. So you guys heard that. If you've got multiple people creating bookmarks, y'all are going to see it. So just be aware.
And that's something we're always open to feedback on. So if we see that, customers prefer having it based on a user level, that's something we'll explore in the future.
Okay, cool. If you guys heard it, if you guys would prefer user specific bookmarks, let us know in the comments. We'll take that into consideration. When will this new dashboard be standard? If I sign up a new client, what will they see?
Yes, so this new navigation menu is going to, well, the opt-in period is going to start shortly in late August. It's going to last for roughly 30 days. And then the new menu will be fully rolled out at the end of September. Gotcha.
And as we all know, rollouts could take a little bit longer or shorter depending on how it goes. So this rough estimate, I should say. Yeah, things are always subject to change, guys. Don't forget that. So they're not personal login only. Oh, I had somebody asking about books review. I'm assuming that the screenshots that you shared didn't show the accountant tools. Was that just because you were logging into QuickBooks Online outside of the accountant dashboard?
That's right. So the screenshots we're sharing here is from the client's perspective. This is if they logged into QuickBooks Online. But if you log into the QuickBooks Accountant product and then you went into your client's view, then you would still see books review at the top of the menu.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm assuming this applies to any version that is a QuickBooks Online subscription.
That's right. Although we do have some differences in how that feature has rolled out across regions. So you may see it slightly differently.
Okay, so guys, you might see some differences currently, but we are looking at standardizing it hopefully by the end of September. So hold tight. We're working on standardizing it so everyone sees the same thing. The other question that made me think is, as an accountant, when you log into QBOA, is this going to affect the left-hand navigation bar on the QBOA dashboard where you see the practice and the free books? Is that going to be affected by this change at all?
Yes, so QuickBooks Online Accountant will also see some of these same changes, but the Your Practice section specifically won't have any changes to it. You'll see that bookmarks kind of moved up in the menu. You'll see that you can collapse and expand the menu sections. You'll see any potential labels or groupings change, and that will be reflected across QuickBooks Online Accountant as well.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. Standardization across the board makes things so much nicer, I feel like. Yes, some feedback I have been seeing. I know that folks really loved the word banking versus transactions. Not a question, just a comment.
Yeah, and we hear that comment quite a lot. We understand that the banking center is one of the most used centers in QuickBooks Online. The reason why we decided to rename that to transactions is because we noticed a lot of customers were getting confused going to the banking tab in our business view, expecting to be able to categorize their transactions there, but then landing on our QuickBooks checking page instead. So you'll notice that we do have an offering called the QuickBooks checking account that users can subscribe to. This is a really convenient feature for anyone who wants to integrate their bank directly with QuickBooks and just have everything all in one place. But we did find that a lot of users were getting lost trying to go to the banking page and seeing QuickBooks checking instead. So just to make that, confusion not happen going forward, we've renamed the section to be called transactions. So transactions is where you're going to categorize your transactions, reconcile them, play around with your chart of accounts, well, hopefully not play around, but create your chart of accounts. And the banking services tab is where you can access your QuickBooks checking account.
Gotcha. Okay. That does make a little bit more sense. I think it's going to take some use to, training or retraining the brain on the differences there. But as everybody on this in the audience knows, if you have feedback and would like, to hear you out, please make sure to go to the feedback button inside QuickBooks Online. That's in the gear icon in the upper right. So we've got over 2,000 people on this call today, Tim, and there's a lot of folks who want user level bookmarks. So
yeah, I see this feedback as well. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes,
that's definitely something we'll be taking a close look at.
We appreciate you. We appreciate your guys' feedback. It does mean a ton to us. So preferred user level bookmarks. Awesome. So I think that's all we have for question wise. If there's anything else, if you have the ability, Tim, if I missed something in the Q&A, you could grab them after this. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on to our webinar and letting us know the new stuff that is coming soon. And I love the standardization. I think it's really great. So more to come on that, guys. Thank you, Tim, so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Leah.
Awesome. So we're going to be moving on to Jeremy, I believe. Jeremy, you with us?
I am here, Leah. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. Glad to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. And the floor is all yours. And we're going to move on to our next topic.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone today. Quick intro of myself. My name is Jeremy Herbal. I'm a product manager with our ProConnect Tax offering. This is our cloud-based professional tax software that we have. And we are very excited to talk to you today about transcripts. We're going to start with a poll. And this might not apply to everyone, but today, about how many of your clients do you retrieve IRS transcripts for each year? So this is going to be transcripts you're going to retrieve on their behalf. And this could be none or just not applicable, or just kind of based on the percentages of your clients that you have about how many that you do. Give you a moment to respond to that.
If we could get that poll question up, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
There we go.
All right, guys, we're going to have it open for about a minute. So if you have stepped away, please make sure you come back to Zoom, open up your separate window, and get that poll question answered. So I'm actually curious to see, and it might not apply to you guys, but if you need CPE, please be sure to answer. So if it's not applicable, that's totally fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do imagine that this is not going to apply to everyone. There are some customers who don't get into this, so absolutely expect that none/not applicable to get some responses in there.
For sure. It does look like we have a pretty decent sized runner up though, so there's definitely an audience that's interested, I would imagine.
Excellent. Well, very exciting. All right. Yeah, a bit higher on the more than 50% than I was expecting, just to be totally honest on that. All right, well, thank you everyone for your responses on that. That is exciting to see. So let's talk about what this is. So we are now offering direct access to IRS transcripts from within ProConnect Tax. So customers have told us that they have a need to access IRS transcripts on behalf of their clients, and this is something that they do for certain clients. They do it every year. Others, it's sometimes just based on a one-off, depending on those clients' needs. But they want a way to do this, and so what we were able to do is actually put something within ProConnect Tax, and we'll show you exactly where in just a second, but where you can connect to the IRS via your IRS account. And then any client where you have the proper authorization on file, you are going to be able to download those IRS transcripts from directly within ProConnect, just the same way that you would be able to if you went on the IRS website. So what this means is that you'll still kind of go through that same process you do today in terms of collecting the proper authorization and then filing that with the IRS. So you would still go through the same process you do today on that side, but then once you're ready to actually get those transcripts, you're going to be able to do that from within ProConnect directly. So that means no longer having to go to the IRS website if you don't want to, not having to sign in to the IRS website just to retrieve the transcripts. This also means that if you've been using faxes or some other method of getting those IRS transcripts from the IRS, not going to have to do that. You can do it directly from within the product. Hitting on some points here, who can access it? This is available for all ProConnect customers. So if you are a customer in ProConnect Tax, you will have access to this. And when will you have access? Already, right now, it is live in the product. So we just went live with this to the entire user base. And so if you are in ProConnect Tax, underneath your client's profile, there's going to be a new tab in there, and I'll show you exactly where in just a second, but it's going to be for IRS transcripts. You'll be able to retrieve them from there. So if you need some additional information, we do have a link, that learn and support article that we call out here from within this handout. Also within the product, on multiple places throughout the flow, you will have a link to that article as well. That article is going to provide you information in terms of just how exactly to set this up, walk through the step-by-step setup guide, how to retrieve them, everything like that. But it also is going to have some useful links for you in order to understand how to get authorization, which forms do you need, where can they be found. We have both the 2848 as well as the 8821 available within ProConnect. You also are able to use the e-signature capabilities within ProConnect to collect e-signatures on those documents. And then you would be able to use those documents to file them with the IRS in order to get that authorization. So we have links within that help article on how you can do that, as well as links to where on the IRS website you need to go if you haven't done this before and you're interested in learning how to do that as well. With all of that said, I'm going to move ahead and show you what does this actually look like in product. So if you're within ProConnect Tax and you go to your clients tab over here on the left menu navigation and select a client, it can be any client, individual, business, whatever type of client you want to look at, you're going to have a new tab right here. I have this nice arrow pointing right to it. And so this is going to be your IRS transcripts tab. From here, you're going to be able to do a one-time setup where you connect your ProConnect account to your IRS account. And then once that setup is complete, you'll be able to retrieve transcripts for this client. There's a link to a video within the handouts as well. If you'd like to see the request in action and kind of a live video of that, we do have that available to walk through. Once you actually get into the connection, you're going to be able to retrieve these. For the client, we will pre-populate the name as well as the tax ID number for that client. So like the SSN on an individual or the EIN on a business, we'll pre-populate that for you. You'll just be able to verify it's correct, enter your CAF number, and then select which transcripts you want. So you'll be able to select a specific transcript year as well as which transcript types you would like for that year. As long as you have the proper authorization on file with the IRS, you are going to see a little syncing window, and then you'll have the transcripts. They will show up here. Anything that doesn't work, or if for whatever reason we weren't able to retrieve it, perhaps you accidentally selected the wrong year, or you weren't sure if you had access and you didn't, you will receive an error on those, but you'll still receive the ones that were able to retrieve successfully. We do have a link right here for transcripts history. That's going to show you the history of all of your requests. So you're going to be able to see, okay, if I requested these 10, which actually came through, did all of them or did they not? If they didn't come through, we will show you an error and let you know that we weren't able to retrieve those. Likewise, once the transcript has been retrieved, it will be available through this IRS transcripts tab, where your every transcript you have pulled from the IRS for this particular client will live here. This also is part of your firm documents. So if you're familiar with the documents tab in ProConnect, you have a firm documents, and then you have that shared client document section. these are going to live within your firm documents. And on your firm documents, it is going to be organized by tax year. So on the transcripts tab, it's just going to be everything. On your documents tab, it's going to be organized by tax year, but they will live there as well. And so if you do need to download these transcripts, have them available within the client, that's where they're going to live. You can then download them to your computer if you need to access them elsewhere or store them elsewhere, but you will be able to have access to them here. Once you've downloaded some, if you need to download more, there's a request transcripts button or request more transcripts button, and it's going to take you right back into the flow where you just verify that client information as well as enter your CAF number, and then you'll be able to request more transcripts. Again, if you've requested some already, they will still be here. They'll live here until you delete them, and you can just continue to download more as you need to. These are stored by client. So if you have different clients that you're requesting transcripts for, they're going to live within each of those clients' folders, and that's where they're going to be stored. All righty. So with that, I'm going to pause and we can get into some of the Q&A that we might have.
Awesome. Jeremy, thank you so much for all of this helpful information. I know there's a lot of folks in here really interested in this feature, and just some clarification questions. So a lot of folks are asking if this will be available for Pro Series or LaCert.
So at the moment, this is only available in ProConnect Tax. We don't currently have any sort of timeline or anything like that around the availability within Pro Series or LaCert. But it is currently available just for ProConnect Tax.
Awesome. PTO only, guys. ProConnect Tax only. I don't know if you know this or not, but there is somebody, which I think is awesome, is considering on offering tax services to their clients, and they're just wondering if there's a special place they can go to learn more about PTO.
Got it. So if our website's probably going to be the best. proconnect.intuit.com. If you go there, we will have lots of information about ProConnect, as well as be able to schedule a call with someone if you'd like to learn more about it, kind of hands-on with somebody. If you're currently a QuickBooks Online Accountant user, you already have a PTO account that's associated with your QuickBooks Online Accountant account. It's the same kind of backend there. So all of your clients are going to be there when you sign into that. You're also going to be able to play around with it as much as you'd like. ProConnect is available for anyone to go and kind of play around with. There's no upfront purchase required in order to see it or test it out or kind of get a feel for it. But like I said, our website is proconnect.intuit.com, and that's going to have all the information there, as well as how you can get in contact with someone for a live demo.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you, Jeremy. It's super helpful. We've got some folks asking if there's going to be an additional cost for having this IRS transcripts retrieval.
Great question. So this is included with your ProConnect Tax purchase. So as long as you are purchasing returns for ProConnect Tax, it is included as part of that purchase.
And how long does it take to receive the transcript after requesting?
Great question. It can be very quick. So just it can take maybe a few seconds depending on how many you're requesting. What we've seen with most people so far is that if they're requesting, say, a dozen or so different things for a client in a year, it might take around 10 to 15 seconds in order for them all to come back. Sometimes it can take a little bit more. Sometimes it can be a little bit faster. We are working with the IRS after all, so it can sometimes be a little slow. But in general, it tends to be pretty snappy. And from what we've heard with the customers that we've talked to so far who have used it, they have all said it is significantly faster than downloading them from the IRS website directly. So it is a pretty fast process.
I mean, I've used the IRS website myself personally, and yeah, it's terrible. So when you said it might take a bit of time and then you said 15 seconds, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like no time. But that makes sense, right? Sometimes there might be a little wheel.
Absolutely.
Well,
exactly. And you don't have to wait for it. If it is taking a little bit of time, you're always welcome to close that window, go do some other stuff and come back, and they'll still be there.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a specific one. There's a little bit of a backstory to this question. So there's a gentleman here who's using Canopy Tax, and
Okay.
they're struggling with Canopy Tax because they have to have that and the IRS open at the same time in order to get the approval. So do we have to log into the IRS website when we go to request transcripts from ProConnect, or is it going to be a much simpler process than that third party?
Got it. So the way it works is you do have to sign into the IRS website on that first time when you're doing that initial connection. But
Okay.
once that connection has been established, you don't have to for every subsequent request. So once that connection has been established, and that should stay connected unless you actually go in there and intentionally turn that off. But it will stay connected for you. And all you have to do going forward is enter your CAF number, and that's it. You don't have to actually sign into the IRS website after that initial setup has been done.
That's awesome. So it's like a set up and forget it kind of thing, right? Set it, forget it, I think is the phrasing.
Exactly. Set it and forget it.
That's awesome. I really like that. So it looks like there is a simple setup process. Now, can we just remind folks how to go through to get the authorization one more time?
Yeah, so it does require that you get a client's consent, and there's a few different types of consent that the IRS can accept. Kind of the two that are frequently used for this and that we do have forms for within ProConnect are the 2848, and then the other one is an 8821. And the difference between the two, the main difference between the two is really around the level of access you get. One is more restricted, one is more broad. So depending on what you need or what you're comfortable working with your clients on, that can sometimes dictate which one of those you do. But you'll just need to fill out that form, again, available within ProConnect if you're looking for it, and then collect signature. The IRS did recently start accepting e-signatures for those. So you're able to collect an e-signature on those documents if you need to. And then you will need to go to the IRS website, and there's a link in our help article. Or if you just go to the IRS website and sign in to their TDS, the transcript delivery service is what they call it, you can get that filed through them. So unfortunately, we aren't able to e-file those, but you can basically fill it out and collect the signature from within ProConnect if you need to.
Yes, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. Couple more questions before we end, Jeremy. Thank you so much for all this helpful information. Some folks have been asking kind of like a two-part question, I think. Is this available to individuals or just businesses? And then the other side of it is I don't prepare taxes, but I do pull transcripts. Can this work standalone?
Got it. So that first one, this will work for either individuals or businesses. It will work for both. You just have to make sure that your information matches up. I will make one caveat of, as of today, it's based on the client type that is in ProConnect. So we are working on allowing you to kind of be flexible with that. But we do have some customers who keep an individual as a business client type in ProConnect. So for today, it's going to match that client type, but it will work for both. The other question, it does require, or it is going to require a purchase of ProConnect. So I will I will leave it at that on whether or not that is something that would work. But you're certainly welcome to purchase a volume that you're comfortable with in order to try this out.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. So I think that is it. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up for that. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for all of the helpful information. If you have a chance to check any of the questions I might have missed in the background, answering those questions, that'd be amazing. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'm now going to go ahead and let Nitzan take over and talk about flexible account mapping and payroll.
Yeah, great. So hi everyone, my name is Nitzan Leibovich and I'm one of the product managers in QBO Payroll located in Toronto. So super happy to present to you today improvements we did in payroll account mapping, both in the US and in Canada. As well as before, I'm going to start with a poll. So think about the current payroll account mapping. Well, we are live 100%. So in case you already saw all of this goodness, think about looking backwards. How often did you have to manually create journal entries due to limitation in payroll account mapping? Or if you didn't try it yet, then how often do you have to manually create journal entries due to the limitation? So never, rarely, sometimes, always, not applicable.
Yeah, that's a great question. I get this a lot, considering there's so many differences, right? When you're working with desktop payroll versus our online payroll. And I love this question. Don't forget, guys, if you want your CPE, be sure to answer the polling question before we close it out here shortly. Any expectations of the answers you're looking for, Itza?
Yeah, so we've been hearing a lot of feedback on this. I would probably guess it would be sometimes versus, I would probably guess sometimes would be the most common one.
Awesome. Yep, you got it. 37% of folks sometimes create journal entries.
Wow. Yeah, together with always, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's good that you guys are here and to learn about our actual improvements. So let's dive into what we heard from accountants or from you and what we actually did with this feedback. So we heard that accountants want more flexibility when it comes to which type of chart of account they can map their payroll items to. So today, before the launch, we had some limitation in payroll mapping. So for example, wage expenses could only be mapped to expense type of accounts and liabilities to liability type of account. We heard that accountants spend a lot of time doing manual journal entries in order to adjust their books. So just doing a lot of manual entries, and we saw this in the poll. And what did we do with this? So we removed many of the restrictions in the mapping to give you more flexibility. And now who will have access to it? Everyone. And when? Now. We just released this both in the US and Canada, 100% out. So after this, go check it out. Here you can see all the additional mappings we added. We added 16 additional mapping options. For example, you will be able to map pay items such as reimbursements to liability accounts, asset accounts, and even clearing banking account. For liability accounts, such as benefit liabilities, you will be able to map to expense type accounts. And then in addition, for advance and loan repayment, which we know a lot of you use, we also added the option for you to map to liability accounts. So all of this, so you will have more flexibility and save time from having to create those manual entries and post-correcting journal entries after the fact. So where will you find this? In the exact same place as you did the mapping before, payroll settings, under accounting preference, go to any payroll item, click on the drop down, and now you'll just see more available option, more type of accounts available to you in those drop downs. Now, this was short because I knew that we might have a lot of questions. So specifically for this Q&A, I can even go back here if anyone has specific questions about the new flexibility that we are offering. And Leah, I'll go over to you to see if there are any questions.
Awesome. Yes, this is amazing. I cannot tell you, working in support with accountants since 2014, the fact that you couldn't use anything other than expense accounts and expense accounts It was so frustrating for people. So I'm so excited to see that we are making those changes based on the feedback that we're getting. And I'm really excited to see this. And I have seen some folks say that they are also excited. So that makes me happy. We do have a couple of questions. And one of them was, with these new changes, when you're changing accounting preferences, except for bank accounts, you have the ability to go back and change like previous tax, like mappings. Is there a limitation to how far back that will go, or is it still going to work the same as it did before? We've just kind of unlocked the ability to add additional accounts. I don't know if that question made any sense.
Yeah, so probably you mean the revert, the mapping that you did. Yeah, so this feature will still exist. You'll still be able to revert back mappings that you did. We are working today on improving the limitation of how many transactions back you can revert this to. So this is still in progress. So there is some limitation to how much you can go back.
Okay.
But we will add this as well.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
You can use it same as today, the revert option.
Yes. We've got some questions. Are you able to map multiple reimbursement expense accounts? So for example, instead of just one reimbursement account, can you do, say, like cell phone mileage? Can you do individuals based on employee or account?
Yeah, today you can do this in the product. You can create multiple reimbursements, and then each reimbursement account map it to a different type of account. Absolutely.
Awesome. So the answer is yes, you can. I love that. So just to clarify for everybody, this is available for everybody currently in US and Canada. Did I get that right?
Yes.
You guys heard it first here. It is available for everybody 100%. So if you have a client who has QuickBooks Online Payroll, go to that gear icon in the upper right-hand corner, check out the payroll settings, and you'll be able to see the new accounts listed in those mappings. Now, these mappings obviously we're talking in reference to QuickBooks Online Payroll, but what about third-party apps? Will there be any sort of integration in that regard? So if they are using someone else, will they be able to map to these new accounts?
Yeah, so there's nothing is changed from what we have today. So anything that right now works with the third-party apps will work today with this extensive list.
Okay, so this is just specific to our payroll product.
Yes, this is for our payroll product, but cool. If you have a third party that you do some integration and you match what you have in QBO to what you have with the third party, you will see the extensive list that is right now available in QBO for the integration.
Awesome. I love that. That is amazing. I think, wait, hang on 1 second. I think I got another question coming in. So wait, I can have two wage types, hourly wages and bonus. They can have separate mappings?
Yes, in the account preference, you have the possibility to map different pay items to different chart of accounts. So you have to go the same place, go to payroll settings, account preference, and there you'll be able to select if you want to have each pay item to a different chart of account.
Perfect. And just as a friendly reminder to everybody, there is no additional cost for this update. Is that correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
Yes. So no additional fees. You heard it here first, guys. I think those are all of the main questions that I got. Please feel free to continue, asking those questions. We've got a few more minutes, but Nitsan, thank you so much for all of your guidance and information. I really, really appreciate that. I have an actual like this just in announcement for you guys before we wrap up for the day. So Tim had messaged me off to the side. You guys remember Tim? He was our first presenter and he talked about the left-hand navigation bar and all the changes. So he wanted me to let you guys know that we did actually hear your feedback that the bookmarks and customizations should be done at the user level. So please be rest assured that in the new menu, we will make sure bookmarks and customizations are done at the user level, so each user can customize the menu to their needs. So wanted to make sure I did a shout out in that regard of rest assured, we will make sure that happens. Thank you guys so much for all of your information and all of the feedback. We really, really appreciate it, guys. Honestly, if we don't hear it from you, how are we going to make it better? Anyhow, so thank you guys again to all the presenters. You guys did such a wonderful job. Thank you so much. A lot of really helpful, insightful information to get you guys ready for the next month and the next year. So as we close out, as you guys know, we have some additional resources that I want to just kind of mention really quickly. Trainings and webinars for you guys. If you have needs, go to qbtrainingevents.com. There's certification prep there. We also have some virtual conferences that pop up from time to time that you can attend. We also have our Firm of the Future blog, firmofthefuture.com. We have a lot of great articles on there on, how-tos, best practices, as well as what's new. We also keep a monthly what's new blog in there as well. A lot of really great information. And finally, feedback into action. If you're interested in learning more about how we're taking your feedback and putting it into action, specifically from the Firm of the Future website, our fearless leader, Ted Callahan, talks a little bit about that. And I believe we have our first video update, if I'm not mistaken. So go check those out if you guys are interested in learning more. Thank you again, all. I'm going to wrap up just a few minutes early today, but I appreciate all of you guys being here. You've been so awesome. You've asked great questions. We've kept everybody engaged. I hope to see you all next month. Stay safe. It's kind of hot out there in some areas. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you guys later.